There are moments in life, quiet, almost invisible moments, where everything is decided. Not in loud arguments, not in dramatic confrontations, but in simple requests. A question, a favor, a small yes that seems harmless. And yet, those are the moments that shape your life more than anything else. Because every time someone asks something of you, they are not just asking for that thing. They are asking for a piece of your time, a piece of your energy, a piece of your identity. And if you are not careful, you will give away parts of yourself so gradually, so subtly, that one day, you'll wake up and barely recognize who you've become. This is how people lose themselves. Not all at once, but one compromise at a time. And the truth is, most people don't even realize it's happening. They think they're being kind. They think they're being helpful. They think they're doing the right thing. But deep down, there is tension. A quiet discomfort, a feeling that something isn't right. And they ignore it because saying yes is easier than standing firm. Because disappointing others feels harder than betraying yourself. But the Stoics saw through this. They understood something most people never learn, that strength is not just about what you do. It's about what you refuse to give away. So today, we go deeper. Not surface-level advice, not cliches, but truths that will challenge you, if you're willing to listen. And by the end of this, you will see clearly what must be protected, at all costs. But before we go further, if you are someone who wants to build a stronger mind, a calmer life, and a sharper sense of self, subscribe to the channel. Because this is not just content. This is training for your mind. Let's begin. Never give away your sense of self. There is something subtle that happens when you are around people long enough. You start to adjust. At first, it's small things. You laugh at jokes you don't find funny. You agree with opinions you don't fully believe. You stay quiet when you should speak. And it feels harmless, even polite. But over time, those small adjustments become a pattern. And that pattern becomes your behavior. And that behavior becomes your identity. Until one day, you realize you are no longer acting. You've become the version of yourself that was shaped by everyone else. This is how people disappear. Without ever leaving, the Stoics warned about this deeply. Because they understood that your identity is not something to be negotiated. It is something to be built and protected. People will ask you to change. Not always directly. Sometimes it comes as suggestions. Sometimes as pressure. Sometimes as subtle disapproval. You should be more like this. Why don't you do it this way? That's not how normal people act. And if you are not grounded, you will start to bend. But here's the truth. Not every version of you that others prefer is a version you should become. You don't need to be difficult. You don't need to be rigid. But you must be rooted. Because if you are not rooted, you will be moved by every opinion, every trend, every expectation. And a person who is constantly shifting can never become strong. Never give away your peace of mind. Peace is expensive. Not in money, but in discipline. Because peace requires restraint. It requires you to not react when reacting would be easy. It requires you to walk away when engaging would feel satisfying. There are people who will test this constantly. They will bring drama into your life. They will create tension. They will provoke you. And sometimes, they don't even realize they're doing it, but the effect is the same. They disturb your inner state. And if you respond every time, you become trapped in their chaos. This is how people lose control of their lives. Not because of major events, but because of constant small disturbances. A comment here, an argument there, a frustration that lingers longer than it should. The Stoics believed that your inner world must remain steady, no matter what happens outside. Not because the world is calm, but because you choose to be. You don't have to attend every argument you are invited to. You don't have to respond to every insult. You don't have to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Peace is not passive, it is chosen, and every time you protect it, you become stronger. Never give away your time without awareness. Time is life. Not a metaphor, not an idea, a fact. Every hour you give away is an hour of your existence. And yet, people treat it casually. They say yes too quickly. They allow interruptions. They fill their days with things that don't matter. And the worst part, they don't even question it. But imagine this. If someone asked you to hand over a year of your life, would you do it? Of course not, but that's exactly what happens. When you give your time away carelessly, 1 hour at a time, one distraction at a time, one unnecessary commitment at a time, until it adds up to something you can never get back. The Stoics lived with a constant awareness of death. Not in a fearful way, but in a clarifying way. They understood that time is limited, and because of that, it must be used intentionally. You don't need to become extreme, but you do need to become aware. Ask yourself, is this worth my time? Does this move my life forward? Or am I just filling space to avoid discomfort? Because every yes you give is taking time away from something else. Make sure it's worth it. Never give others control over your emotions. This is where most people lose their power. Not in failure, not in hardship, but in reaction. Someone says something, and your mood changes. Someone does something, and your entire day is affected. This feels normal. But it is not strength. It is dependence. Because your emotional state is now tied to something outside of you. The Stoics saw this clearly. They said, it is not what happens, but how you interpret it, that determines how you feel. And that means, there is a space, a gap, between the event and your response. And in that gap is your freedom. Most people never use it. They react instantly, automatically, without thinking. But the more you slow down, the more you observe, the more control you gain. You begin to choose your reactions. You begin to decide what affects you, and what doesn't. And that changes everything. Because when you are no longer controlled by emotion, you become stable, and stability is power. Never give away your boundaries. People will test you. Not always intentionally, but consistently. They will ask for more. Push a little further. See what you allow. And if you don't define your limits, they will define them for you. Boundaries are not about being harsh. They are about being clear. Clear about what is acceptable. Clear about what is not. Without boundaries, resentment grows. Because you are constantly giving, without alignment. And over time, that turns into frustration. The Stoics believed in living according to principles. And principles require limits. You cannot stand for something and allow everything. At some point, you must say no, and that no is not rejection. It is self-respect. Never give away your dignity. There will be moments where you are tempted. Opportunities, situations, relationships, where something feels off, but the reward looks appealing. And you justify it, you tell yourself it's necessary. Temporary. Worth it, but deep down, you know. You know when you are lowering your standards. You know when you are compromising who you are. And every time you do that, it becomes easier to do it again. Until it becomes your normal. The Stoics valued dignity above comfort. Because comfort fades. But character defines you. You can lose money. You can lose status. You can lose opportunities. But if you lose your self-respect, you lose the foundation of everything. Never give away your focus. Focus is rare. And because it is rare, it is powerful. But the world is designed to break it. Constant noise, endless distractions, and people, adding to it, pulling your attention in different directions. Expecting immediate responses, interrupting your flow, and if you allow it, you will spend your life reacting, instead of creating. Focus requires protection. It requires discipline. It requires saying no, even to things that seem harmless. Because every distraction has a cost. The Stoics trained their minds. They didn't allow it to wander endlessly. They directed it with intention. Because where your attention goes, your life follows. Never give others the power to define your worth. People will judge you. Some will underestimate you. Some will criticize you. Some will ignore you completely. And if you rely on their opinion to determine your value, you will always feel unstable. Because their opinions change constantly. The Stoics believed that your worth comes from within. From your actions, your discipline, your integrity, not from applause. Not from validation, not from recognition. You are not your reputation. You are your character. And when you understand that, you stop chasing approval and start building something real. Never give loyalty where it is not earned. Loyalty is powerful, but it must be deserved. Some people expect loyalty without giving respect, without giving honesty, without giving consistency. And staying loyal in those situations is not strength. It is self-neglect. You can care about people. You can appreciate history. But you must also recognize reality. If someone repeatedly breaks trust, disrespects you, or holds you back, you are not obligated to stay. The Stoics understood this. They valued wisdom over attachment. Because sometimes, the strongest decision is to walk away. Never give up your purpose. You have a direction, even if it's not fully clear yet. It exists, something you are meant to build, to pursue, to become. And not everyone will understand it. Some will question it, some will doubt it, some will try to redirect you. And if you listen too much, you will drift. You will lose momentum. You will forget why you started. Your purpose is not something to be voted on, it is something to be followed. With discipline, with focus, with patience. Because in the end, it's not about how many people approved of your path. It's about whether you walked it. Closing. So remember this, every day. People will ask things of you. Some small, some significant. And in those moments, you have a choice. To give, or to protect. To please others, or to remain true to yourself. Protect your identity. Guard your peace. Value your time. Control your emotions. Stand by your boundaries. Preserve your dignity. Focus your mind. Define your worth. Be wise with your loyalty. Stay committed to your purpose. This is how you become unshakable. And if you made it this far, subscribe to the channel. Because this is where we build minds that cannot be broken. And lives that cannot be controlled. Stay sharp.